Meaning and features of business. In this video, I'll tell you how much marks this question carries, and then I'll explain you all the points which are 15 in number. I'll tell you how to write in the exams. And once my explanation ends, I will tell you a story. And I promise these 15 points I'll get you to learn in 15 seconds once I have finished the explanation. Now, whenever the question comes, meaning of business, it will come for minimum 5 marks, sometimes it can come for full 10 marks. The moment this question comes, the first thing you have to do is to draw this chart. Types of economic activity divided into business, profession, and employment. Once you have drawn this chart, next we would like you to write down in ABCD. See, I am a college topper and university rank holder. I used to write like this. So let us start with the introduction of business. Any activity carried with profit motive is business. In simple language, two things. Motive is profit and done continuously. Correct? A person engaged in the business is called as businessman or entrepreneur. In today's times, the business has become complex and technology driven. This should be your introduction, not more than 2 lines, because the answer is big enough, right? Meaning of business. Business refers to any economic activity. Now, how economic activity? If you see this chart, business is a part of economic activity. Do you understand? So, business is any activity, economic activity done on a regular basis with the intention to earn profit. And how do you earn profit? Through production, distribution, sale of purchase of goods and services. Clear? Now, definition of business you have to learn by heart. This is the only thing which we will ask you to memorize. Business activities are all those human activities directed toward the production and processing of wealth. It should have been income, but beyond income, he has gone and then said wealth. Professor Hanny. Example of business, grocery store, medical store. You can also say Maruti Udyog Limited because it is the industry part of business. Do you understand? Now, your E part will be the features. E part will be the features. I hope you understand. Now, what we would like you to do, I'll explain you one by one. So, characteristics of business or features of business or nature of business. One by one, and I'll explain you. Economic activity. Business is what? An economic activity done to earn money, which is profit, and done continuously. What is the objective to do business? It is to earn profit, returns. Why does a businessman do the business? Because he wants some returns. What is profit? If you have sold goods for 100 rupees, your cost is 80. But what is your profit? 20 rupees. So that is your profit. Nature of work. What is the nature of work? Twofold, production and distribution. Production is done by the industry. Distribution is done by the commerce. Production and distribution. Correct? Qualification. Is there any basic qualification required? No. Even an illiterate person can do business or a qualified person can do business. Correct? So qualification, there are no minimum qualification for a business. But for profession, there is. If you want to treat people, then you must be a doctor. If you want to give advice in court, you must be a lawyer. Practicing जैसे advocate है court में जो practice करते हैं, correct? So qualification is prescribed for professional, right? Not for business. Registration. Now, some registration is required. Like if it's a company, you have to get yourself registered with the registrar. And registration, like doctor must get himself registered with the Medical Council of India, lawyer with the Bar Council of India, CA, Chartered Accountant with the ICAI, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So, registration, some business require registration like company and cooperative society, which we'll be discussing at the latter stage. But for a sole trader, local registration like Shop Act is required. Since there is no sole trading act, अकेला आदमी जो business करता है, no registration is required. not regulated by professional body but by government agencies. For example, as I told you just now, a doctor's profession is governed by the regulated by the Medical Council of India. Lawyer, Bar Council of India. CA, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. But a business is not governed by any agency like this. But there are government agencies which will ensure that you follow the rules and the guidelines. For example, for if it's a factory, there's a pollution control board. In the hotel, there are health inspectors, and for municipality, there's a shop act which is required. I don't understand. For export import, any person wanting to do export and import requires an IE code. Import and export code number he requires. For income tax, you require a PAN number, PAN card. It's a 10-digit alphanumeric number. For GST, if you are selling, you require a GST number. Correct? So uh, it's not regulated by professional body, but by various government agencies. Right? Risk. When you start a factory, do you know that your mobile require chips? Yes. The car require chips. Who is the main manufacturer of chips in the world? Which country? Taiwan. I think last year there was a COVID incident in the factory where they shut down the factory. India is largely dependent upon Taiwan. And the moment they had shut down factory for some time, India automobile companies, there are around 48 automobile companies. They had to reduce their production. Mobile companies were affected. So there are lots of risks involved nationally and internationally. Now, containers, when you export, that's a 20 feet and a 40 feet container, right? Now, we import from China. During COVID, again, there was a shortage. India is not the manufacturer of containers. Recently, we have started. Now, pharmaceutical industry, capsules, one third of the raw material comes from China. Now, there were COVID issues. China, they had locked down some places in China recently. There was a shortage in India. So, if you understand, there are lots of risk in business activity because the investment is very huge. Transfer of interest. Now, if I come to you, can you give me one packet of Maggie? You will say, no, I don't have, go to somebody else. Is it possible? Yes. But if you go to a doctor who is going to perform, say, eye surgery on you, so he cannot say, go to somebody else. His compounder won't do the surgery. So transfer of interest in business, it is possible. I will tell him, go to the next shop who sells Maggie. I don't have at this point. So transfer of interest is possible? Yes. Capital. Now, as I told you, the example, chips require more than 15,000 rupees. Have you heard Apple to mobile? Who manufactures Apple? Not the Apple company. There's a company called as Foxconn. It is, I think, a Taiwanese company. It is the world's largest contract manufacturer. Foxconn, Wistron, Pegatron. These are the three companies. Now, what Apple does, Sony Bravia, Samsung, all get their products manufactured from Foxconn, Wistron, Pegatron. Foxconn is the world's largest contract manufacturer. So, what Foxconn does, it gets the Apple iPhone manufactured, stamp Apple ka lagta hai. Everybody knows Apple, but nobody knows Foxconn. सीमेंस कंपनी है वर्ड जो स्विच गियर का कुछ इलेक्ट्रॉनिक पार्ट बनाते हैं वन ऑफ अ स्टूडेंट हैज इज अ चैनल पार्टनर आई थिंक इलेक्ट्रोफैब nobody knows electrofab but everybody knows Siemens companies SIEMENS इलेक्ट्रॉनिक का वस्तु बनाते हैं सो व्हाट आई मीन टू से जो कैपिटल लगता है ठीक है इट इज वेरी ह्यूज फॉर Sony Bravia, Foxconn invested 5,000 crores in India. For the chip manufacturing, minimum 15 to 25,000 crores per factory is required. It's a huge project, right? So I hope you understand the capital is very high. Code of conduct. Now, there's a code of conduct for chartered accountant, in their visiting card, they can only write chartered accountant. They cannot write income tax specialist. They cannot write expert in corporate matters. They are prohibited. They can only write chartered accountants. A lawyer is not allowed to advertise. These are the code of conduct laid down by Medical Council of India and Bar Council of India. There are code of conduct for chartered accountant also. If I am your chartered accountant, you want to change the chartered accountant. The chartered accountant that you approach must get a no objection certificate from me. Then only he can take up a job. These are the code of conduct. In business, there is no code of conduct. If you go and weigh a bread of 400 grams, chances are you will find it 380 grams. Some people tend to cheat. ठीक है ना? There are duplicate paneer out there. You have a hotel business, you know it. So code of conduct is not there for business. So some people use dishonesty, correct? Continuity. Now, production or buying, it happens continuously. The objective is profit, but it has to be done continuously. Because if you don't do it continuously, technically we call it as a joint venture. It can also go in a loss. So production or buying and selling activity must go on continuously over a period of time. So how many parties are there in business? Two parties. One is the seller, one is the buyer. And what happens between them? There is an exchange for money or money's worth, called as barter. What is barter? You go to the gold shop, give old gold and buy a new gold. Or you give your old Toyota Innova and then buy a new Toyota Innova Vista. Clear with this part? Can we go to the next part? Now, next part starts. Classification. Industry and commerce. Business is divided into industry and commerce. You have already drawn you can draw one more chart. Business is divided into industry and commerce, right? Have you understood the 15 points? Now, I'll help you learn all the 15 points in 15 seconds. This is what I promised you. Can we start the story? Now, I have designed a story with the help of which I'll help you learn these 15 points instantly in 15 seconds. Now, I want you to imagine yourself, right? There was this, you can write down later, this understand. First, you had economics book in your hand. You put it aside. Point number one is clear, economic activity. So what I've used, एक student है जिसने economics की book बाजू में की. Economic activity, correct? Economic की book बाजू में की because his objective he wanted to become a doctor. Start again. Number one, a boy put his economics book aside. Point number one, economic activity, because his objective was to become a डॉक्टर. व्हाई डिड ही वांटेड टू बिकम अ डॉक्टर? क्योंकि उसको रिटर्न्स में बहुत सारे पैसे चाहिए थे. ही वांटेड टू अर्न लॉट्स ऑफ मनी. कैन वी स्टार्ट अगेन? पॉइंट नंबर वन, अ बॉय पुट हिज इकोनॉमिक बुक असाइड because he wanted to, his objective was to become a doctor. Why? Because he wanted to earn lots of fees as a return. Now he started studying. He started studying according to the law of nature. बोलते ना early morning 4 o'clock Brahma Muhurat, have you heard? So he started working according to the law of nature, and at last he got the qualification of a doctor. Point number one, let us start. A boy or a girl put his economics book aside because his objective was to become a doctor. Why? Because he wanted to earn high rate of fees as a return. Then he started studying. He started studying according to the law of nature, nature of work. And then finally, he attained the qualification of a doctor. Then he went for registration to the professional body, Medical Council of India. Let us start again. Point number one, a boy or a girl puts up his economics book aside, economic activity, because his objective was to become a doctor. Why? Because he wanted to earn high rate of fees as a return. Then, point number four, he started studying according to the law of nature at 4 a.m. Finally, he attained the qualification of a doctor. See, you cannot practice without having the certificate of practice from Medical Council of India. Have you seen the certificate when you visit a doctor? Yes. So that is COP, Certificate of Practice. So he went to the Medical Council of India for he went for registration to Medical Council of India, which is a recognized professional body, regulated by professional body. Now he started a job in the civil hospital, but there was a risk. There were many COVID patients. So what he did, he transferred the job to his clinic, transfer of interest. Let us start again. A boy or a girl put aside his economics books. Point number one, economic activity, because his objective was to become a doctor. Point number 3. Why? Because he wanted to earn high rate of return. Point number 4. He started to get up as for the law of nature, nature of work. Finally attained the qualification of a doctor. Then he went for registration to the Medical Council of India, which is regulated by doctoral profession is regulated by a recognized national body. But यहाँ पे not regulated क्यों है? Because a business is not regulated by a recognized body. Correct? In profession, the same points will apply. Then you will say regulated by professional body. And then he started his job in a civil hospital, but there was lots of risk, lots of COVID patients. And then he transferred his job to a clinic. And then he started the clinic by putting up capital of 10 lakhs. What is capital? The amount invested to start a business or expand a business. He put up capital of 10 lakhs. Now, patients started to come. Some did not wear a mask. So he put up a code of conduct outside the door, where he said only those wearing mask can enter. There were lots of people, patients continuously coming to his clinic. Let us revise this again. Number 1. Aside his economics book. So economic activity. Very good. Become a doctor. His objective was to become a doctor. Why? He wanted to earn high rate of return. Very good. Finally, he started to study as nature of nature. Finally, he got the college job. उसके पहले he got the qualification of a doctor, and then he went for registration to the recognized national body, and then he took up a job at a government hospital, but there was a risk, and then he transferred the job to a clinic, transfer of interest. He put up a capital of 10 lakh. Outside his clinic door, he put up a code of conduct that only those wearing mask can enter. But people kept on continuously. There were people coming in. Finally, he said only two parties can enter. And then, since there was lots of crowd, he started selling medicines also. And then he started class inside the clinic. Correct? He started class inside the clinic. Let us revise for the last time. Number 1, a boy economic activity, because his objective was to become a doctor. He wanted to earn high rate of return. Very good. He started to get up as per the law of at 4 a.m. nature of work. Finally, he got the qualification of a doctor. Very good. Very good. Then he went for registration with the recognized national body. And then he started up a job at a government hospital. So there was risk involved in the job. So he left the job of interest, and which required capital of 10 lakhs. And then he put up a conduct outside the door. Only that only 2 patients can enter, and there were continuously people coming in. Finally, he said only 2 persons, a doctor and me, patient can be there. 2 people started selling or exchanging medicines, and then started class inside the clinic. So what I would like you to do, write down all the 15 points and check out how many points you remember with the help of this story. I hope you like the video. Thank you for watching.